Alright guys, welcome back to another video on Northwest Blue Collar Hunter. Today, or right now, I'm going to go over the Light Outdoors stove. I believe this is the large, not the XL. You can see here there's quite a few little parts to it. I'll go over a couple things I don't like and do like at this point. And then I'll go over a lot more when it's put together. So you can see there's just a ton of loose pieces here, even down to there's separate rings to hold your stovepipe and your stove body to the right diameter for the bag, but then you have smaller rings for the stovepipe and then the larger rings for the body. I did buy an extra what would they call this, rod. This is a rod. They only send it with 3. I like doing 4. It just helps keep it nice and tight. Plus, if you're trying to do some water on the top, you can put 2 really close. I'll show you that when it's together. I didn't like the way they designed where the stovepipe just sits inside the stove, and then this just sits in there and spins, and that kind of holds it on the rods. I'll kind of show you that too. So I did something totally different. I took a Seek Outside system, and I use a different damper, one that's easier to work with, and it goes in here, and then the damper goes in the stovepipe. The spark arrestor goes in this little guy here, and then this kind of sort of sits in the hole. It's not perfect, but it's a much better, more user-friendly system. The way they have it designed is this goes in the bottom of your stovepipe, and then it sticks down into the stove body, and then you're constantly hitting it with wood. Plus, it's really hard to pull it out and clean it. This one, it's got a bigger holes, which is a pro or a con, but you can just spin it and kind of clean it out versus having to tear your whole stove down. And then this I just cut down to fit. It's a little bit wonky, but it actually works better in my opinion. So yeah, at this point, that's all I really hate about it is you can just see there's a ton of loose pieces. I mean, it's got 4 legs that thread in. It's got all the different rings. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how it goes together. All right, guys, so as you can see, I've got both stoves put together, and I kind of want to do a quick rundown of pros and cons of each one. This is the Light Outdoors large. I don't think it's the extra large. It's a good sized stove. This is the Peax, the new stove. I got it all burned in yesterday. Tried it out, really liked it. So I'm just going to go through some things. As you can see, this is an extra large size. This is like a medium U-turn. That is one big difference, and unfortunately, Peax hasn't come out with a bigger one, so it's kind of all I have to compare. As far as weight goes, these two are pretty close as it is, and you can see this one's quite a bit bigger. One thing that needs to be said about that is, unless you're going late season, super cold, trying to burn all night long, so you got to get up every 3 hours or so to fill it, then obviously a bigger burn box really matters. Most of the time, you're just trying to dry out gear, take the edge off, or warm it up in the morning to take care of some condensation, so this one's plenty. I didn't do a side-by-side burn time comparison. It was 100 degrees today. It's not really the time of the year for that. I will say I used this one a couple times when it was really cold, and it is nice to have the extended firebox. But like I said, I just don't see that being a deal breaker 80 to 90% of the time with these. So I've used this one quite a bit, but I will say I went on a spring bear trip this year, and my friend had a flat top with a rounded belly. He loved it. It was easy to put together. He wanted to deal with putting the stove together. I honestly dread putting this stove together. You'll see in the time lapse, anybody that knows anything about these stoves, I put these rods on backwards initially. Not a big deal. Once you get it all set up, they're easy to flip around, but it's just those little things that if you're in a hurry, you can screw up, and then you got to take the time to fix it. So there's that. This has a lot of little parts. This one doesn't. You know, this plate right here is both the damper and the spark arrestor. This one, you've got the damper in here. The spark arrestor goes in the stovepipe. Yes, I changed this application a little bit. I'm not sure if it's better than factory. I like it better. So there's that. But this is one bigger piece. No real sharp edges. These have the rods. They got the little piece that comes out the backside. It doesn't quite close it off as good. So there's that. Let's see. The doors on these, I don't think there's anything that I hate about them. But let's just take a look. You can see that this door is quite a bit bigger. Here is the air control out front. This one, probably about the same amount of air. I don't know that one design is better than the other. This door has never failed me. I could see that these rivets would be an issue. I don't have a lot of extended use of the Peax, just burning it in this weekend, so I don't have much to say about that. But this is a nice big door, which is really, really nice to have. Let's see what else. Let's talk about the tops of the stove and why that matters. Late season hunting, one of the advantages is snow. You don't have to pack water, you just melt snow. It's nice to not use your jet boil. It's nice to use your stove if you're going to have it running at night anyways. Flat tops, so much easier. These rods do allow you to do that, but I will say it doesn't take much for them to belly out, and then you're just on top of your stove, and then you run the risk of doing that right there. It's easy to pop back out. You know, it doesn't do much, but if you burn it like that, it will remember that, and it'll always look like that. That's why I tend to go with the flat top for sure. The rounded belly is nice. A lot of people believe that with the belly, the wood will burn into itself and it'll burn better, and it'll actually burn all your wood. With the flat bottom, you run the risk of the wood kind of crumbling away from each other and going out. Again, these things don't burn a long time, so it's not a life or death difference, but it could be, you know, something that might make a difference to you. The legs. This one has 3 legs, easily adjustable. Right here, spin it, you can go up or down. You can set them all different heights. This one, they just have a simple rod into a nut system. It works. Ground clearance, it's nice to have a little bit of ground clearance. If you've got some debris under it, some grass, some weeds, I try to pull all that stuff just because eventually they'll burn and cause smoke. This one, there's not a lot of ground clearance, so if you're on uneven ground, this one allows you a little more of adjustment. This one, you're kind of putting rocks under legs and digging things out, which no big deal. It's just ease of setup. As far as main differences, you go to the flat top versus the rods for water. I really like this stove. You'll see in the time lapse, this one took me almost 5 minutes to put together, and that doesn't account for, it actually went the smoothest I've ever had it go when I was videoing it. Normally it pops off and I got to do a bunch of other things. So I was actually surprised that I was under 5 minutes. I was expecting to be closer to 7 or 8 minutes. Cold, wet, angry, miserable. I've had this one take me an hour. Unfortunately, I hate to admit it, but with all these things, and if you're in a bad mood, it's been a long day, the rings to keep the stove body, this to stay on to get the rods on, and then I've even put it together backwards where I had the stovepipe connection right by the door. And when you do that, you got to take the whole dang thing apart. It sounds silly, like you wouldn't make the mistake, but I promise you, in the dark, cold, wet, hungry, it's a good possibility you're going to spend upwards of 20 minutes on this one, because there's just so many things that if you're not paying attention, you can forget. The other day I put this one together, forgot the rings, had it all together real nice, forgot the rings. Well, if you don't have the rings, it could actually just start to come apart. Yeah, the ends hold it together, the rods do, but we all know these stoves like to expand and contract, and without these rings, it'd just go crazy on you, and then it would be hard to use forever. So I had to take it all the way apart and redo it because I forgot the darn rings. This one, there's only one way it can go together, just like this. You can't put the door where the stovepipe connection is. You can't forget to put the damper in. All it is this nice little flat plate that makes it really nice. Yeah, I gotta say, this is a good stove. Don't get me wrong. There's some guys that really believe in these. They don't care that it takes a while. They are some of the more lighter ones. I will say my weights only include, I believe, a 6-foot stovepipe for this one, and it's 2.5 inches. This one was including an 8-foot, 3-inch pipe. The 6-foot is long enough, but I would recommend the 8-footer. Just get the stuff away from your tent. It's only a couple more ounces, and it just gives you that extra peace of mind that what's going out your stovepipe is going to float away. With the 6-foot, it gets away, but it just makes me nervous, and I was going ultralight when I ordered this one, so I just went with a 6-foot stove. Plus, I was running a different teepee, the Cimarron, which I believe is a little bit shorter than the Peax, so I had a little more room on that one. Yeah, you'll see in the video, I've only put this together once, and the first time I put it together, it took me like 2 minutes, 20 seconds, and that was not rushing, had gloves on, now that it's burned in, it'll go quicker. It's supposed to be able to do it under a minute. So best time ever put it together, under 5 minutes. Hopefully I can get this one to under a minute. Not a big deal, but it just shows you how much easier this one is versus that one. I do believe Peax is going to make a bigger stove. My feeling is I would rather just have the bigger stove and not need it, and then you buy once, cry once, only need one stove. This was the only one that was available. I despise this stove. I wanted to find some flaws in this one, so I bought it. Gotta say, this one's already out the door. A friend of mine bought this. I'm excited to see it go. I'm not gonna miss this stove. It's a good stove, like I said. It's a great stove for what it was built for. Minimalist. Kind of give up a little bit of time and simplicity to put it together. Like this one, it's quick. This one's a little lighter, but it takes a lot more effort and attention to put together. The other big difference is, and this is between all the stoves, from what I understand, all the other stoves are out of a grade 2 metal, and the Peax has gone with a grade 1. So you shouldn't see a lot of this sucking in the metals over time where it's going to start to warp. This is supposed to last over time better. It's supposed to handle a lot more burns before you start to see holes, weak spots. So that is a big one for me too. Price point, $475 with the stovepipe, carrying cases. There's nothing extra to order to make yourself feel better. This one, I believe, starts at $325, and then you have to add the stovepipe, It does come with carrying cases. We're going to go over that in a minute. So price point, you're about the same. So you've got that detail. Let's talk about the cases they come with. Lite Outdoors, their whole selling point of their stoves is ultra light. So it comes with just these cute little bags that over time don't stand up to nothing, don't protect anything. The one that holds the actual stovepipe has got a hole in the top of it from where it rubs. I definitely would be nervous about putting these inside of my pack. As you can see, it wears through this. It might wear through your bag. They just have simple drawstrings, no organization in here. It's just plop everything in, suck it up. I actually have a Ziploc that holds all my small pieces. Peax, on the other hand, they have this really nice case, way more durable. And the thing that I like about these is everything has a spot. Your rings go here, spot for each leg. You've got a spot for your spark arrestor, damper here, and then the top and bottom Velcro in there real nice. It's real organized. You know, I'm a big organization guy. I don't know about you guys. You know, they just kind of go the extra mile. I mean, all the way to there's a real logo. You know, not super important, but just that extra little bit of detail goes a long ways with me. I like the fact that it's organized. The other thing that I hate about this one is it has separate rings to hold everything together to store it. So you have 3 or 4 rings that just go in a bag for when you put it away. I hate that. I mean, if you went with the bigger stovepipe, then you could have used your stovepipe rings to hold everything at 3 inches. I think you could have made that work. There's a better way. Peax actually designed theirs so when you're all said and done, this just slides right over your stove and your stovepipe all rolled up, and this just holds it. There's no extra pieces. I've got to say that's got to be the best thing I've seen come out for that. It just makes it that much easier, less to lose, less to worry about losing. So there's that. That's a big thing for me. I like that. Yeah. So I mean, there's a guy for each one of these. Like I said, I think Peax is going to be dropping something that's going to have about the same firebox. I mean, I gotta say, unless it was super cold and I was really worried about long burn times, there's just no reason to fiddle around with this one when this one goes together so easy. And then as soon as they drop the bigger one, I'm gonna order it, and then I'll have both of them. So yeah, there they are. That's the comparison. Let me know what your guys' experiences are with the Lite Outdoors. I know there's some hardcore guys out there that love this, and I don't think you're wrong. I agree with you. For what this is built for, it does do the job. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think. Hopefully that gives you guys something to think about if you haven't ordered a stove. I know these are out of stock. There's supposed to be more coming right in the middle of Washington's deer season. I think early October, sometime in October, they're going to release more of those. So you've got some time to make your decision. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. There's just some pros and cons. All right, guys, check you next time.